I uploaded a video maybe yesterday, and it seems that it has gained a few views, maybe around 24 right now, I think, last time I saw. And I wanted to make an even clear description of what it is, because when I watched it over and over again, I felt like, wow, I left out so many things. So yeah, um, I'm going to leave a bunch of links, not many, just maybe 3 or 4 links in the description below, to different websites. Not websites, but pages for you to download certain things. If you're new to Pencil 2D, Pencil 2D is an easy frame-by-frame animation software. But that's what also I have discovered. In the but in the video I made before, I showed you how to move your frames. Most YouTubers, well, people that created tutorials on it, haven't shown this. But anyways, I leave a link to pencil2d.org, which is where you can download Pencil 2D. There are 2 versions. I think there is also a Mac version, not sure, but all of them should work the same. There is also for Linux, Windows, XP, and Vista, 32-bit. Choose the version you can use, actually, because if you have a 32-bit, you use a 32-bit. If you have a 64 or 32, you use those 2. Note that if you use a 32 and a 64, there might be some lagging issues, or it might not work at all. Linux also is the same. I use it. Then I will leave 2 extracting softwares, which is 7-zip. 2 links to these 2. 7-zip is the most lightest one, but also compatible with so many files. And there's yall, which some of you will be like, oh, I used to use this, it says I have to pay. You don't really need to pay. After you've used it and it keeps bugging you out with the information, you can keep pressing cancel and it will still allow you to use it. So no worries there. Now, once you've downloaded the Pencil 2D file, extract it and put it anywhere you want to. Mine is here on my desktop. And after opening it, you see it's a bit messy, but not really. Here is pencil2d.exe. That is the one you want to open up. And now you have Pencil 2D. It's very light, as I said before, so it doesn't really take much storage space or RAM. I think it uses under 100, not even 50 megabytes of RAM. But the more animations you have, the more it will use. But it barely does anything wrong because it is capped at 1 gigabyte if you make a large animation. Let us start at the top, at the tools. As I said in the last video, but I did not show, the trash here, where I just draw something, deletes that whole frame. Make one here, create another, make one here, another, make this, and if we press this button, it removes for that frame alone. Everything on that frame will be removed completely, but the frame itself will not be lost. Alright, the pencil tool, as I just used it, creates sketchy lines or pencil. Yours will be much smaller, maybe. But you can also have these selection here for stabilizer. I normally use none for I'm sketching how I want it to look. Then there is simple, which is just a small delay but smoothens out the lines a little bit more. Then there is strong. I can click it with my tablet. Here it is. Strong increases the stabilization of it. That's again. But it does create some lag sometimes. And here's one here. See this little dot? It shows up if you don't do it properly. Delete that frame. You have the eraser, which I have shown. If you have a tablet, like me, the lighter you press, the less it removes, but the harder you press, the more it removes. The selection tool allows you to select a certain area, but sadly there is no lasso tool, it's only a grid square. This, I don't really remember what it's called, but it's normally the click and drag tool, where you can click and drag, and also, you don't have the ability to rotate, which is sadly very inconvenient, but you can move whatever you've drawn anywhere on your canvas, even outside. Here on the outside, you can put anything here, but it will not show up here because this is your main canvas area. This is your pen tool. It is basically a liner tool to be used. I find this much more smoother and sharper, but if you turn off until you're seeing it will be a little bit of a monster. It turns like that. It's so pixelated, so jittery to do it like that. So it's best to have interlacing on, and you have it on strong or simple. Just make it that smooth. Now let's go to the panning tool, which allows you to move around the canvas. It doesn't let you move the image, it moves the canvas. The line tool allows you to create lines forever. You can continue going anywhere you want. Just know, depending on your GPU and Pencil 2D renders things correctly, it will lag a bit if you make too much. But if you want to stop it, you just double tap and it will stop. The paint bucket tool. Oh, it seems Pencil 2D has crashed. Okay, there we go. The bucket tool is, as it is, a bucket tool. It fills in any area it touches within it. But here you can also increase or decrease the tolerance, which doesn't do much of a difference, but let me show you. The tolerance, the more higher it is, the more it covers. But having it less, makes the lines more visible. It's best to have it at like 100%, so it removes some of those lines, but it will also go through small gaps, so be careful. The eyedropper tool. If I have a certain color, for example, red, blue, and yellow. Using the eyedropper tool, we'll select that color and add it right there. See? And when you press N, it goes to your pencil tool, it will choose that color. Press P, which is for your pen, it will use that tool. And if you press B, which will be going on now, is the brush tool, which still has this sort of lag at the beginning. But I also use this for sketching. I also use it for my full animation, and I prefer this over the pencil at times because depending on what you're going to animate, having a different feel is the best. It also works if you use the eyedropper tool, and the shortcut for this is Alt next to your Windows key. Use it. Now we'll be doing the smudge tool. Well, it's okay, but sometimes the smudge tool just goes weird. But I'm pretty sure it's the feather effect. Let's test this out. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now let's use the smudge tool. This. Because the feather effect was way too high, it became a square. It's best to have it somewhere at one where there's a simple circle and can be used for painting styles of sort of. You're just continuously doing this, and then you just have a small much more orange color somewhere here. Maybe you use this once more. Oopsie daisy. smudge tool. Then you smudge it around. You don't really see it much, but if you use it wisely, you can create pretty good art. And there's also anti-aliasing, which I didn't notice, which really smoothens out the side. And if you put 50% halfway, kind of, not 50 but 15 or 9, it has this, see, this squarey lines at the end. It also pulls in anything, it pulls it in. And that's all about the tools. Now, we've already seen what the options can do to different brushes and tools up here. This one we've already seen. The algebra tool has none. The eraser doesn't really have much, but the feather is also a bit high. Recommended you keep it at here. But use feather or not, you can actually disable or enable. But now let's go to display. Let me draw a stick figure here. Red, orange, that's fine. We'll have his arm up and his arm down. Then we'll have his face, eyes here and here. Mouth up here. Now, this is the left. This is the right. This is up and this is down. This here, it flips it horizontally. See? Moves it horizontally. It's kind of like mirroring it a little bit. But this mirrors your whole animation, by the way. This whole frame is flipped. Unless you reflip it. But that will also affect every other frame with it. This also flips it, but it flips it vertically. These two are not enabled right now because I think they work on vector layers, but I'm not going to talk about vector layers since they are almost never used. This here, I'm pretty sure it is used to estimate where the center of the camera is, where the camera is in the world currently. Like if you want to view someone's face, this is a perfect area to put it. But if you also wanted to view a home of sort, any home, absolutely any home. This is Halloween. I'm just going to let's say you have a nice scene right here. See? Using this can tell you where you want to look. Right now I want to look at the window, which lets me see whatever is inside from this angle. There might be a little spooky ghost up here. Who knows? It might be even an owl. Owl house. But yeah. The grid can also be used for the same thing, but this is normally something I would use personally to keep certain things in frame. If I have to a ball here, I know that I'm just this little close away to make another frame, and then keep on going and going and going and going. Kind of like water. Because water does not change in pattern unless it goes into another body of water and it is what is it? Diffraction happens here. So if it's going at this angle, it would now move at this angle. When it moves another body of water, it will not exaggerately change, but it will change. Also the speed of the water, but not the frequency, will change as well. I am not going over physics. This one is the same thing, but it's more centered. This gives you a small spacing, telling you that there is a few millimeters away from exiting the scene. That's what I use it for, but it says here, it is safe title area, safe action area. Safe title, like if you have some notes to write, you can write it up here, or even here. But if you have a safe action area, you can tell how long till the next animation is going to be, depending on which method you use. I'm not sure, I'm not an animator, of course, but I like using it. And now we move on to onion skins. For this, we will need to create a smart animation. Let's say I have a first frame here of a ball. And I want to make another frame of the ball falling. Press this button here. We'll go over here after, I'll tell you all about it. But you don't see the ball. That's because the onion skin is off. By default, I think it is off. To see it, you press this button and this one, which shows you the ball. But since I'm using a red pen, it will appear red. If I use a black one, it appears black. But if you want to use only black and white animations, it's going to be very hard to tell which frame is before and after. That's why you click this, it creates another color. The frame previously or before will be red, and the frame after will be a bluish color. Let me test it here as well. This is the same thing. Black, over it, make a new frame, there's red. Another one, still red. And if I go back, oh, can you see the difference? You can tell where the other frame is going to be. You can also change how strong it will be. These two buttons I don't normally use because they don't have any difference, but show keyframes only is going to do that. It doesn't show you exactly, it shows you only how many frames you have in front, but I disable that just then because I love to. And show during playback is not a good option because it creates a lot of lines you don't want to see. And the minimum distributed opacity, the minimum is 20 and the maximum is 30. I recommend putting this to 30 because it was at 40 before, and 40 is a little too strong. I've put it down to 30 where I can tell a little bit. But the minimum is also 20 because you would at least want to see. Or you can put it at 30 if you want, just make it same. Alright, we've gone over these. Now let's go to color box and color inspector. The color box is, yes, a color box. It contains where you can click and drag the colors you want to use. Also, the hue of the color can be selected down here in the color inspector. You can also put what degree, which is the degrees of 360 maximum here, and it goes from red all the way to violet to red again. Well, sort of red. You can't have two reds because one is actually different than the other, but completely goes over. Having violet or ultraviolet being the strongest color. You can change the saturation, you can change the value, and you can change the, I forgot what this is called, but the alpha, if I'm correct, of it. The alpha basically means how strong or how transparent that color will be. This will turn it into more of a value color where it mostly depends on where you are and where you're not. Having a brighter color means it's in a bright area, having a darker color means it's in the dark area or it's shade. And this one here just makes it lighter or stronger, the saturation. If you're in very hot sun, it will be around here. If you're in a normal place, it'll be here. But normally it's recommended to keep it as it is. This just shows you the color you have, but much more visualized, so you can properly see. Down here in the layers, timeline, these are different layers you can use. There is a bitmap layer, which is the one I'm using currently, and the vector layer. Vector layer is annoying. You cannot color in anything you have drawn in the vector layer because everything is individually calculated. You can keep on zooming in, it will always be fine. It will always be the same. But if you try to color it in with the bucket tool, what? That's impossible. Usually it doesn't do this, but it seems it does now. Before this was not able, but I think because I updated to the 6 now, it does this. I was using version 5. But you can now color inside? Amazing. You can color inside vector layers now. Vector layers just keeps the shape and everything aligned correctly. Like, it is always going to be the same. You can't change that. But it's also giving you the power to transform and rotate, not rotate, sorry, but to move your shape anywhere as long as it is selected. You can also resize it and do a bunch of stuff. Also flip it the other way. You can also use this tool, the smudge tool, to change certain points in the drawing. But it's recommended you have that disabled, and see, you can change what it looks like. The pen also becomes much smoother because now you can just continuously zoom in and it stays the same. Here is the camera layer, which, as it says, camera layer. Let's just delete everything. Oh, delete everything. This layer as well, delete. Let's create a small little circle here. Put them here. Let's copy that layer and paste it again using this key here, which just copies it and pastes it next to it. Let's make it a few seconds long. Let's go to the beginning and choose the camera layer. Here, you can use the camera any way you want, but make sure you're on that layer and it has a keyframe. I want it to take from this to here to zoom in. So I'm going to use the panning tool. I'm going to click here at the end, create a layer, make sure you click down here, and I'm going to move myself in front here. And if I move back, the camera will zoom in on that image. Or rather, it will zoom in the canvas. But this also affects here, because you get to have this to happen. Everything you have drawn will be centered around this, wherever the camera has ended. This is why if you're having like big piece and animation, it is good that the software you're using allows you to draw outside, so you know exactly what is supposed to be inside. Like if you have a giant scene where there's mountains and stuff all around you, and then when you go to the next, it's still there and it continues, but you can also have something like a bowl falling, so you can see exactly like the second it falls, which is good. Now let's remove all of this. Let's completely trash everything. Remove everything. Go. Alright, and let's make a smaller animation and I'll show you what these do. Okay, this is going to be very sketchy, so it's not accurate, it's not going to be very good. And let's see what these do. This puts you at the first frame, this puts you at the last frame. This here plays the animation. And stops, because this is the last frame. Go back and press the loop function, loop button. You notice when it's on, if there's like a little white border around it, because now there's none, there it is. And if you press it, oh wait, I see a mistake I've made. Here, then there's two drawings, this one is not supposed to be here. Okay, let's continue. Washes, and then jumps back up, and then turns back into a circle, and there we go. Now let's play it again. There. It seems it's not doing as it is intended to, which is looping around. Or it's because we haven't set a range yet. Oh, okay, there we go. It loops now. But this looks too slow. That's why here you can change the frame rate. The frame rate is how fast the images change per second. 6 FPS is 6 images a second. That's then it's 12. Now it's going to be way faster. As you can see what just happened there, those little frames that showed up. For you to stop that, you just press these. Now let's continue. Still a little bit too slow. Let's change this to 24. And then replay it. Now the ball's a little faster and smoother, kind of, because this is how your brain will process it. Let's stop this and make it 30 FPS. Now it's a little too fast, but you can visually see what happens to the ball. A little note that people don't show you in Pencil 2D is that if you click here, with your mouse, right click, you can move around your frame anywhere. Using a pen or a tablet, you just simply click on it and drag. People haven't said anything about this, and I think that's why everyone just complains that this program just sucks, but there is a way to do it. There is. Everything has a way. And as you can see down here, there are sound buttons and all. You can also import audio. For you to do that, you have to go into File, Import, or Sound or Audio, Movie Audio. You can also import other things like images, GIFs, layers from other things you've done. For example, if you've made an art piece or a background you've made, you can import it in here and just create a new frame and put it on that frame. And then you'll create your background. You can just add your background and then you can animate your little character doing whatever he, she, or it, or they want. And let me show you what it looks like when you import a sound. Let's take sound, create the layer. It will create the layer right here automatically. You can also find the layer if you want. And let's use the same thing I used last time with the broken tutorial. And oh, you see, because I clicked here, the sound will be here. It's best now that you take it and put it at the beginning. If you press this button, it plays the audio. And also, you can pan through the audio, which helps with lip sync animation very well. And Krita has this ability, but depending on what version you have, it is kind of broken. You can also mute it if you don't want to listen to the person talk. Wait, give me a second, there it is. See, now you have muted it, but the animation still plays. Alright, I have no idea what I've done, but yeah. This is how you use Pencil 2D, basically. You just create your animations. You can have different layers. You can have one for a sketch, one for background, one from your main, everything together. Well, also something you might need to learn is how to learn keyframes, because I am not used to it. I am still bad at it. Yeah. And one mistake I've done here, I should have had the balls on a different layer, as well as the water flowing in a different layer than this character in this layer. Because if you have all in the same layer and you want to ease in something, like I just did here, like I want to ease in, where is it, the ball here, I wanted to ease it in before it actually went into the head, but I made a mistake. I made it on the same layer, which is something I should not be doing. Yeah. To use the camera, I'm not going to use it for this one, as I don't really see any use for it. It's always best to have this largely open, because you can always check here on the sides. But yeah, that is Pencil 2D. Just crack my knuckles. And if you have any information you need or anything else, like you want me to try out, like try and learn animation perfectly, hit me up. I don't know, dab me up. And yeah, I don't know how to end the video. Is there anything else I forgot to say? Yes. Like I said in the other video that I've made that was trash, you can have plugins or some sort of other version of pencil that other people have created. They have dark themes. There are people that have created libraries of they've added brushes from My Paint or Krita or GIMP, I think. Some brushes are also available, but you have to find them in your own time, as I cannot find them. I don't know where to look for it, but I've seen some people talk about it and not leaving a link. If you're lucky, you can find it, and also send me one for a dark theme, please, because this is bright for my eyes. Thank you for watching, and have a good morning or afternoon. I don't know. Bye.